Okay, so this is what happened. I had a friend who had a crush on me. I had a crush on her sibling. A friend who had a crush on me. I didn't have a crush on her, but I had a crush on her sibling. Okay, so years and years passed, and finally I worked up the courage to try and spend some time alone with a person who I had a crush on for a very long time. So I knocked on his door, his, and he let me in. And basically, I was like, can I just like take a nap in your bed? Because I had done that before. It was like I was always taking naps like for years. Like I've taken naps everywhere in this house. And I had already taken a nap in his bed before when he wasn't there. His mom was like, "Oh, like you can sleep in here." And I was like, "Okay." So I slept in there once or twice when he wasn't there. And all the time I was like always napping in his sister's room and also in their basement and in their living room couch. I mean, I taken naps in their backyard on the grass. The only place I didn't take a nap was in their front lawn. I don't know if they have a secret attic, but I surely didn't take a nap up there. Surely did not take a nap on the roof. So I was like, "Can I take a nap?" I was exhausted. So he was like, "Yeah." So I took a nap. Why did I choose that moment to ask him if I could, if, to check if if he was okay with spending time alone in the same room? Well, because he had told me that he just broke up with his long-term partner, and I had just broken up with my long-term partner as well. Both of us were recently single. So, I mean, we were no longer teenagers. We were no longer teenagers, and so I was, and years had passed since, the friend who had a crush on me, had pretty much gotten over it. We got out of our teenage years and yeah. So, yeah. It for like 2 or 3 days, I was like sleeping over at their house, and this is a person who I couldn't even make eye contact with for years. Like whenever I would make eye contact with this person, my hand, I would start trembling, my heart would start pounding, and I would just, so, I moved very slowly. Okay, it took a few days, and basically I just was like, "Oh, okay, knock, knock, knock. Yeah, you could come in. Okay, knock, knock, knock. Okay, yeah, you could come in." Chatting a little bit here, chatting a little bit there. We had never really spent time alone together. And eventually, he was also taking a nap in the same bed. We were just napping, just both just napping and sleeping. And then another day passed, and then it was napping and a cuddle, a cuddle. So it took a progression of days for it to go from napping to cuddling. At one point, I was sleeping with my head alongside his ankle, long before anything happened. But to me, this was what was happening. This was what was happening to me, was that I was getting to slowly feel safe, actually making physical contact just by laying my head against someone's ankle. So after a few days, eventually I asked him, "Can I kiss you?" And then We kissed, and then I told him, you know, like he was saying how he was talking about fish lips. He was talking about fish lips. And so I said something about regarding water. And um his sibling and I, we have been close friends for years. This is, and I had spent so much time with her in their bathroom. Like, one of us showering, one of us, in the mirror, one of us, just together in the bathroom, platonically, but in a safe and comfortable way where there was um no secrecy. Yes, no secrecy. No secrecy like that, no like pre-secrecy. I'll say that. No pre-secrecy. But the pre-secrecy had what was, obviously there with the person I had a crush on. I was like, displaying pre-secret behavior with this person. That's how you can tell someone has a crush on you, is if they are displaying pre-secrecy. And if you want to squash a crush, if someone wants to squash a crush, you know, to be kind to someone and, not to say put them out of their misery, but to say like to just assuage any guilt, you can squash a crush by cutting through pre-secrecy, like someone who's displaying some kind of like pre-secrecy, some kind of pre-secret tension. So you can just squash that by going to that person and not allowing them to keep their personality pre-secret. I had been displaying pre-secret behavior to this person for years. So I was looking to squash that pre-secrecy. And so after like 2 or 3 days of napping in the bed, then I saw him slip into the bathroom to take a shower. And so I was like, "Oh, can I come inside?" He was like, "No, he's taking a shower." I was like, "Okay." And then I just felt awful. And I think he felt awful too. And then I went away, to not like I just like I had spent like a few days there sleeping over, and then the sleepover was like finished, just like it always finishes. And I was just so nervous. Did I offend him? Did I scare him? Did like what happened? But it's not like what happened. It was more like, not knowing how he feels. And so then after maybe 3 or 4 days passed, I really had this subtle feeling in my gut that it was probably a bit rude of me, something that I wouldn't consider to be rude. He might have taken it as rude, and it may have been rude of me to try and corner someone outside of their room. Get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like to corner someone, but like twice. So as opposed to allowing, me doing like knock, knock, knock on his door and then him saying like, okay, you can come in. That's not really cornering so much as being in someone's like home stadium, so to speak. But then to double down on cornering someone, I think that is where after the fact, I felt like I was shook. I was like, it was not respectful of the fact that I know that the reason why I was attracted, is not acknowledging his delicacy. When I say delicacy, I mean, allowing him to reciprocate my initial entrance, and actually eventually allowing him. So I think this is like, I learned from this experience that in romance, but that pretty much squashed an entire friendship is what and was what ultimately ended up happening. I'm sure he felt shook as well, and he blocked my phone number. I found out because I went to go text him, oh, that was rude of me. I'm sorry. And only to see that the number had been blocked. So a few weeks or months passed, and then when I saw him again, he was playing it off. I was playing it off. But the long term friend who was his sister, she was aware that, I went to her and I was like, I feel bad that, like, I think, like I scared your brother. Like, I gave him I may have triggered some trauma for him or whatnot. And so I apologized to her, and I asked her, like, oh, like, like, he didn't get to read the text message, but I had sent him a text message to apologize. And could you let him know before I enter your home again that I'm offering an apology and acknowledging that, an apology is due for not respecting the reciprocal nature of of a romantic interaction. Um, it's kind of like being unromantic. It's like unromantic to try and go for a like to like double down like that, It's like to not allow someone to be in their own space, but then them to reciprocate, like, oh, then them waiting, being patient until then they um are gravitating and like ready to enter um my space. So yeah. Um, it was awkward, it was humiliating, it was depressing, and ultimately it was ruinous, ruinous. So I've been I'm aware not only I'm aware of several different kinds of sexual assault that occur. Getting punched in the Adam's apple, that's sexual assault. Getting punched in the Adam's apple, that is sexual assault. Getting groped, that is sexual assault. Getting groped by a stranger, that's sexual assault. When I say grope, I mean it doesn't really matter where. Even if someone is grabbing someone else's head and they didn't grope it, you could grope someone's hair before asking permission to a stranger. That would be sexual assault. Punching someone in the boob, that's sexual assault. Punching someone in the breast, punching someone in their breast, that is sexual assault. Okay? After sharing my story, my experience, I hope that maybe people out, some other people who have less experience can learn from that. Learn, because I mean, I'm in the long-term relationship, and I mean, I'm just like so happy, and I understand that that experience that I had, I'm telling it to you, and perhaps it could provide some wisdom to people who are young, to younger people than me, but also to older people than me, to have a reckoning, but also to have an improvement. And so to that person with whom I had that interaction, that family with whom that setting that it happened in, this is a way for me to make some value out of it. When I say value, I mean improvement or benefit. A very beautiful family, very beautiful, based on actions, beautiful actions. And of course, a beautiful home, beautiful setting.